I just want to take this time to give a huge shout out to Celestial Clouds. This is a company that custom makes smokable herbal blends specifically designed for your natal alignments. And as you can see, I'm a Libra rising, so I got the Libra and the Virgo edition. You guys, I'll put the information in my description box. Make sure you shop with them today. It's amazing. What's up, YouTube? This is your girl, Megan. Welcome back to my channel, to all of my returning subscribers. However, if this is your first time joining me on today, welcome to the HoodAstroQ. Here we use knowledge from celestial bodies to help us gain a better understanding of our favorite celebs, world events, and most importantly, our damn selves. Okay, so go ahead and hit that sub button to become a part of the family, because you know you want to. Also, if you guys are interested in booking your very own natal chart readings, feel free to contact me at astrowerld. That's astrowerld @gmail.com. And last but not least, if you are interested in having access to exclusive content, okay, make sure you sign up to become a member of my Patreon on today. So now that we got the house announcements out the way, as you can see, you know why I'm here, all right? Allegedly, no, it's not even alleged at this point, Ryan Henry from Black Ink Chicago. He was put on blast a few days ago by a friend, I'm assuming former friend, right, who revealed that he had been sleeping with the mother of his children, all the while he was battling cancer. Yes, cancer. And this was particularly shocking because, you know, just the idea of sleeping with not even necessarily someone that your friend used to date, but I mean, they were really close, and the man had like a whole family with this lady. So, you know, even when you went back and you looked through a lot of Ryan and this man in question, you looked through their photos, they were extremely close. There is a lot of history between them. And I believe Ryan was in a relationship with another woman as well. So they did a lot of like couple outings and things like that. And their children knew one another. The families had that type of rapport with one another. So it just made it that much more shocking that someone could commit an act of just straight out betrayal like that. And I thought this would be an excellent opportunity to take a look at Ryan's natal chart to see what all is going on. Now, I will say up front, I have very limited knowledge about Ryan, aside from this situation. And I know that he had a sister that was murdered, which I'll be doing a reading on her on my Patreon. Once again, all the more reason to go check that out, okay? Sign up if you are interested in that. But that's neither here nor there, okay? The show in and of itself, I did not watch the Chicago franchise. So y'all let me know if some of these energy signatures appeared in other instances, okay? So let's just go ahead and get right on into it. So Ryan Henry was born May 27, 1986 in Chicago, Illinois, making him a Gemini sun with his sun at the 5th degree. And this would actually give him a double dose of Gemini energy because that number 5 is ruled by Mercury. And if it's one thing I know about Geminis, okay, especially or particularly the dark-sided ones, they can switch up very, very quickly. These are people who can be extremely immoral, very cruel, right? And insensitive in the things that they do and the way that they treat people. And they do it by justifying and rationalizing away the problem. These are people who can find a justification for anything. Gemini is the sign of flexibility. And they often come with, once again, the more dark-sided ones, a very flexible sense of morals. Now, his sun is conjunct the fixed star Hades, Hyades. I believe that's how you pronounce it. But either way, this could create a person who naturally just has a very evil disposition. They could have a very disturbed mind. I also thought it was kind of interesting that one of the main characteristics of Sun conjunct Hades is a person who could be a murderer or likely to be murdered, because we all know that Gemini also deals with siblings, in which he did have a sister who was brutally murdered. Now, They already, that case has been open and closed. I believe it was an ex-boyfriend, like a lawyer that she was dealing with, who was actually convicted of her murder. But it really got me to thinking, because also it was said that Ryan threatened the friend who outed him, right, after the friend told Ryan's wife or significant other about the affair that Ryan was having on them. So I'm just thinking, like, who is this guy really? Like, is he capable of murdering someone? I think so. I think so. Like, it just really gives a very sadistic kind of nature to his personality. But once again, if we're just being generous, we can loosely interpret this as the death of his sister as well. These are people who could be prone or maybe even surrounded by death. They could witness or be the victim of stabbings and shootings as well, which, you know, interestingly enough, his sister did die by shooting. She was gunned down, she and her 10-month-old. Now, his sun is also conjunct Chiron at the 14th degree. That number 14 breaks down to 5. 5, here we go, that reoccurring Mercury-based energy. So with his sun conjunct Chiron like this, it's very telling, because it could point towards a person who feels like they get to express themselves however they want, however they see fit, no matter what the conflict of interests are, because these people feel like they're the exception to the rules. This could point towards him not being a friend to anyone. So if I were some of his other friends, right, quote unquote, I would be stepping back, questioning some things, because having that Gemini sun conjunct Chiron that could be very dangerous, especially in tandem with some of his other aspects, which we'll get to momentarily. But this could also deal with him being someone who is naturally prone towards betrayal, coldness. And you also have to keep in mind, once again, that Gemini energy deals with friends, close friends, even siblings. And I believe that's the way in which they describe their relationship, to one where they were like brothers. They would call each other brother. But this could deal with where Ryan could be extremely disloyal, even despite these close ties and relationships with people. You know, it could also make him a pathological liar, or where the truth with him could be very relative. And that all ties back into this theme of that flexible sense of morale, right? Where depending on what's what, these people can kind of talk themselves out of any situation, or rationalize and explain away certain situations, dress it up, make it cute, make it fancy. These are people who are prone to double speak and different types of things where they're using jargon and euphemisms and inflated language and things like that to really convolute their points. You know, they could even kind of speak that way or engage with themselves that way to make themselves feel better about the things that they do. Also, his Uranus is opposing that Chiron and Gemini, once again reinforcing him being a horrible friend. You could also look at this as him getting caught up via text message, which we'll come back to this once again, because you could look at that Chiron and Gemini energy is literally like phones. And I believe that's exactly how they got discovered. The friend went through his children's mother's phone and then found a bunch of messages between Ryan and the woman going back and forth, talking about the other night and how great it was and blah, 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 blah. And allegedly they had been seeing each other for about a year. So it wasn't even like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 time thing. It was like a continuous, ongoing affair. Now, Ryan's sun is forming an opposition to his Saturn in Sagittarius, which deals with him having a lot of karma tied to telling the truth. Okay, it points to situations where his mouth and ever-shifting sense of, once again, morals or perspectives can trigger karmic events that are supposed to teach him how to be a more honest and forthcoming person. And telling the truth about things, even when it hurts, right? And these are also people who have to learn how to develop a conscience. It could even point towards, once again, an absence, a full out absence of a certain level of, you know, morals and like a higher code that he's supposed to govern himself in accordance to. And he gives me someone that, because of this opposition, in tandem with him also being a Libra South Node, right? He could definitely be someone who encounters a lot of issues and fallouts with friends and situations where he makes a lot of enemies because of the shady and shisty things that he does behind people's backs or, underneath the table, right? His Venus is in Cancer, opposing his Neptune. That could also deal with him sneaking around with women, where he's sharing women with his family members even. So I thought that was kind of interesting. That's also reinforced with his Venus forming a quincunx to that Saturn as well. And that is like the actual aspect that points towards that affair, that active ongoing affair where they're, sneaking around and probably flying out here and traveling over there, that type of thing, going above and beyond to keep it a secret or concealed. And that's also reflective of that Venus opposing Neptune, keeping it concealed. His Jupiter in Pisces is squaring that Chiron in Gemini, which deals with a lot of his secrets and the things that he tried to keep concealed being aired out. But even with his Venus in Cancer opposing Neptune, that's also an aspect that could really air a person out publicly, especially like depending on the transits and the other factors going on as well. Also, his Sun is forming a quincunx to his Pluto at the 5th degree, that number 5, once again, of Scorpio. And that, once again, is another aspect that can deal with the death of his sister. But also, with this, in context to the friend, I actually wouldn't be surprised if he was hating on his friend from the jump, or if he was a person who regularly backdoored a lot of his friends, or if it came from a place of jealousy and spite. He also has his Sun, quincunx Neptune. That's another aspect that can deal with the person getting caught up in entanglements, semi-Jada voice, right? Being entangled in situations, especially involving friends, right? That could potentially get you exposed, put on Front Street. But these are also people where their sense of honesty and their credibility has to be questioned. These can be very sneaky, very secretive people. They're always scheming. They're always trying to come up with ways to keep things out of the public eye. I just thought that was kind of interesting. And with him being a Libra South Node, once again, at the 28th degree, the number 28 can technically, to some, still be considered the analytic degree. And that analytic degree, the crises degree, does naturally come along with third-party interferences and love triangles. So, once again, reinforcing this whole idea of him creeping around with the best friend's wife or whatever she is to him. And then Ryan took to social media to basically say, like, homies over hoes, or I guess that was like the point he was trying to get at, which still made no sense because, okay, this logic would apply if she was just a woman that your friend met at the club and went on a couple of dates with, but once again, he has a whole family with her. And clearly, it is impacting your relationship with him because the friend is the one who brought it to the public in the first place. Because clearly, he's heartbroken and he feels away. So, once again, that is a perfect example of that dark side of Gemini, that Gemini Sun conjunct Chiron, where he feels like he can really flip the narrative, right? Where he feels like he could really, and it's steeped in that Gemini sense of duality. Like, I can really sit up here and rationalize and appease the narrative to make it fit me. Or let me introduce this alternative perspective and way of looking at it. It's like, no, it's not working. You are wrong. You are wrong. What's next? So yeah, once again, I would not be surprised, like, if this was something that he regularly does. And if I were him, I would be very, very careful with that Aries North Node, right? Because that could even deal with situations where he could potentially bring a lot of violence to his own front doorstep by way of his actions and the things that he does. And I'm not saying this is necessarily going to happen with this particular friend, but this could easily end up in situations where maybe somebody attacks him, he gets shot, he gets stabbed, or whatever the case may be, by way of his interactions and his dealings with women, very karmic related situations. And that's also reinforced with his Capricorn moon and Mars squaring his node. So if I were him, I would just be very, very careful. And he clearly has a lot of soul searching to do. This was just messed up. There was no other way to put that. So y'all drop down in the comment section. Let me know what you thought about this whole story. What do you think about his natal alignments? And what would you do if you were the friend? Like, what does the friend do from this point forward? So yeah, y'all make sure you practice unconditional self-love so that you can love others. And don't sleep with your best friend's partner. Okay, so yeah, and until the next video, I'll holla y'all. Bye.
If you're letting with a show, you should be celebrating with the one and gone crazy. It's a new beginning. If you're graduation.